Hello everyone again, it's me Justin, and here's number 2 for my 1001 movie reviews you must see before you die. This one is The Great Train Robbery by, who directed it? Let me get the book again. I must look so ignorant right now. Don't even know who directed the movie. Great Train Robbery. It was directed in 1903 by Edwin S. Porter. So, once again, I had to watch it on YouTube because it's not currently on DVD, so I had to use that wonderful thing called YouTube and watch The Great Train Robbery. And here's the things I wrote down about it. First and foremost, the most obvious thing, most people know about this first ever Western was the fact that it was shot in New Jersey, which of course is funny as hell when you watch some of the scenes where the train's going along the tracks and all you see is like trees and woodland. And when you think of a Western, you think the desert, Monument Valley or wherever a Wild Wild West was shot. Wait, what am I talking about? Wild Wild West? That's not a true Western. That's a joke of a Western, if there ever was one. Wild Wild West. What am I thinking? I've just shamed Western fans everywhere by bringing that up. But anyway, we're talking about The Great Train Robbery. Point 2 is the first scene. It kind of confused me, and I had to look on Wikipedia because when the two robbers come in, they tie up some guy, and I really couldn't figure out who he was. But then I went into Wikipedia, and there was a breakdown of all the scenes as to what's going on in each one. And it turns out it's a telegraph operator that they tie up to and make him stop the train, so they can obviously get on the train and then rob it. So that came off as kind of confusing. And during that scene, it's kind of funny. I found an error in it, in which in the background there's a window and you can see the train coming into station, and on the train, as the two robbers are tying up the telegrapher in the telegraph station, you can see two people on the train looking directly in the window, and they can see the robbers tying up the telegraph guy, which is funny because it brings me back to my point that I made on my first review for A Trip to the Moon, is the fact that once again these guys weren't really true Hollywood directors. They were using an invention at the time. So, but at the same time, this was the first, what you consider the first movie that basically had a movie element to it. Like, it had a story to it, even though it's very linear from shot to shot. It advances the story along. But anyway, I guess you can. Back then, I doubt people were pointing out, oh look, those two people can see. I doubt people were keeping a record of mistakes that were being made in movies. Anyway, moving on to point 4 is the really laughable gunfights. I'll come back to this later on at the very end of the movie. But the first gunfight is just so laughable. They break into a compartment on the train, and the gunfight they have with the one guy, it's just so laughable, But once again, this was early infancy of movie making, so it's just all the stuff today is just going to look very laughable. And I was laughing my ass off when I was watching these really bad gunfights, and the very bad jump cut that you can see when they have a fight on top of the train. There's a really bad jump cut where it goes from a guy beating up an actor, and then they throw off obviously a dummy off the train. But back then, I'm sure people were able to suspend disbelief, and they probably thought that the robber actually threw the actor off the moving train, no less. But looking at it now, you can see how bad the jump cut is. You can see it's a dummy. But moving on to point 7, this is a part of the movie I really enjoyed, and I really found to be a very, very brilliant shot within the movie. It's the shot of when the robbers have taken over the train. They've uncoupled the engine from the passenger compartments of the train, and the passenger cars. And that's what I was trying to say. And they get, and it starts with a shot of the passenger car, and the robbers go in. They bring everybody out with their hands up, and it's a great shot because it starts with nobody outside of the train, and slowly like 50 people fill up the screen. And I just thought it was a brilliant piece of filmmaking, even for its day and age. I found it to be very brilliant, and like then even more so, it's all in one shot. 50 people come out of the train with their hands up, and then the robbers go through robbing all 50 people, and they even shoot one that tries to run away. And I thought, for such an early film, I thought this was a very brilliant piece of the movie, because it really added, to the overall story. And it was just amazing to see 50 people come out with their hands up and fill up to line up against the train. Point 8. There was a really odd scene where and I kind of found it to be, I kind of thought of Buster Keaton, one of the famous actors of the silent stage era, where the telegrapher tries to get help, and he's tied up, and while he's tied up, he's able to, I guess he had a key around his neck or something, and he's able to type in the telegraph message thing to get help, and then he passes out, and then, I found the whole thing, and his daughter comes in, and she wakes him up by throwing water on his face, and I found it to be very funny. And I thought, oh, this is very slapstick comedy, like shades of Buster Keaton, later on, in the silent era days, and all his great movies that I'm sure are in 1001 movies you must see before you die. I'm sure there's at least one that I'm going to get to review. So anyway, moving on, there's a dance hall scene, and there's this great shot where the bandits start shooting a guy's feet, and it made me think, what movie has an homage to that? And none other than Back to the Future 3, where Tom Wilson as Buford Tannen shoots Marty McFly's feet and makes him dance, and then Marty, obviously busts out the Michael Jackson moves, ending with he jumps on a loose floorboard, and he makes watch Back to the Future 3. It's a great movie. I'm sure I'll review Back to the Future, and maybe all 3 movies, but I don't want to ruin the scene for you. But it was great to see them paying homage to Great Train Robbery, obviously, by the whole shooting of the floor and the person's feet. So it was nice to see that homage, and then this brings me back to the whole gunfights. The final shootout it's just so laughable by today. You look at the gunfights you have in movies today, and these were just so laughable. And the fact that the final bandit that they shoot, they must have shot him 6 times before he dies. And back in the silent day era, everyone seemed to be overacting, and it's just so funny the way he dies, and it takes 6 shots for him to die when obviously he'd be dead on the ground in 6 shots. So all these movies, they come off as very laughable these days because like I said, these guys were just they were just working with an invention at the time, and but I must give defense to this movie in particular, because they made a great leap in the process of movie making, and they were trying to tell a story. So I give that a lot of respect for moving filmmaking into another whole direction.